Even in HDR, I can't stress how important proper settings are. I'm going to open the video like that because a lot of people don't understand that HDR is not just better for the sake of being better. Right now I'm in Filmmaker mode. Now I can go through dynamic HDR mode or all the other modes that I choose to, but essentially the story will remain the same, okay? If you want to see what your TV is capable of, do not put it in Filmmaker mode. I start with Filmmaker mode because this is the industry expert's favorite mode. Every Hollywood director, every so on and so forth says this is the mode. I cannot tell you how big of a problem I have with this mode. Like, most people don't even realize how bad this mode is. And I've been going on for like, hell, years talking about how awful this mode is. We're talking HDR. I mean, look at his face right now. Filmmaker mode, HDR, like, it's just not good. It's not great at all. Look at this, like, Filmmaker mode, we're in HDR. Like, what is that supposed to be? Like, what is it really supposed to be? So that's where my major protest comes in. And then, of course, I'll show you if we just go ahead and put in my settings now, right? Improper settings from the so-called experts, okay? My settings. That's a massive difference coming from one extreme of the spectrum to the other, where now you see all the, even dynamic mode, right? The torch mode, where it's supposed to be like, this is what they use in the store to draw you in and say, look at how amazing the S90C is. I mean, hello, look at the difference. It's literally a day and night difference that you can't even compare. I mean, and you can use any mode you want. You can use eco mode, you can use movie mode. Not a single mode in this TV is gonna beat what I do. And this is why I get so in my feels when people try to tell you like, oh, you just tweak your settings or just play around with it. There's a difference between playing with settings and knowing how to set them. And that's what I'm showing you here. And more importantly, there's a difference between relying on computer software or a standard that doesn't even exist versus something that is actually more concrete when you analyze what's supposed to be happening in an image and giving a proper image. Here we are in chapter 23 in Alita Battle Angel, and you can clearly see Filmmaker mode, again, more of the same, looks terrible. Again, I will continuously lay heavily into this mode because when people like Vincent Tio and all the other so-called reputable professionals tell you about HDR or what modes you should be selecting, they almost always tell you that these modes are the ones that you want to use, but it's not. And people who have a kind of limited understanding of how to set up televisions, this is what you're going to be looking at, right? And the picture does speak for itself. I really don't have to say a word, right? And I'm just going to be like pointing to this like a grand example of this is what it is, right? So we can then do what most people will do and say that's not good enough and go to dynamic mode. Dynamic mode does improve things a bit, but there's a general cold nature to things, as you can clearly see. Everything is really, really cool, way over sharpened, and grainy as hell. So that's not going to be enjoyable for a lot of people, but it is still HDR. Okay, so then we're going to go to what I do, standard. There's a big difference from dynamic, where things are cool and washed out, to standard, right? You can actually see the detail return. Like literally watch what happens to the background here. As we go to standard, now you can actually see the shadow better on the ground and all the details. The color becomes more accurate versus this cool purple. It returns to its proper shades of purple. The ambient light, where it's really cool and not reflecting a lot of the tungsten light of the scene. Now the tungsten light returns. I mean, her face, everything, it just makes more sense. When you take your TV out of the box, you're gonna see, like in chapter 25 here in Alita Battle Angel, in Filmmaker mode, things just look terrible. And that's the only way to describe it. I think the picture kind of speaks for itself. I know we've seen movies that have this kind of scenery time after time again, and this is what it looks like. Very pukey, very pissy, jaundicey, whatever you want to call it. It just looks like a generally dead and ugly image. Now this is supposed to be high dynamic range, HDR, the next level, yada yada. This is why 9 times out of 10 I don't make HDR settings or even use HDR, because HDR is generally very hard to work with, because this is what it starts out at. And this is what they call done, right? This is their Filmmaker mode look. I don't know if you know what Filmmaker mode is, but again, go look into that mode and what they're saying about it. This is the best that they can do, all these professionals, okay? This is what I do for this scene. Now you can actually see the ambient light. You can see what's happening in the environment. You can see what's happening on the horizon. You can make out details that you just couldn't make out before, where everything was just kind of like it's just hit with this general like death filter, really. I mean, that's the only way to describe it. I mean, which one looks more like the sun setting? Does this look like a sunset you've ever seen? Or does this? The natural warmth coming in over the horizon and the background, over the clouds. Just look at that part alone when you see how dead it gets. I've never seen a sunrise that dead before, but they call this accurate. That's why I call it a joke. Here we are in chapter 26 of Alita Battle Angel, and you can clearly see, again, more of the same exact story. Your washed, ugly filmmaker mode look. Now, why am I being so aggressive about showing you this? For the longest time, I have been telling you there's a difference in paying me $4.99, $5 basically, to calibrate your image versus people who pay or charge over $500 to create a little image that looks like this, saying it's reference accurate. You need to train your eyes and just get used to less color, and then you'll enjoy it more. And there are people that buy into that. I don't, because I paid for that. I didn't pay for this. I paid for this. And I want to see all the highlight placement, all the color, all the detail in the world that my money can get me, and that's what my settings give. And that's why I kind of put this information out there, because it's like, when you watch such like, almost like a damage control of how almost incompetent these images look in terms of what human beings can see and what it's showing you, it just gets to such a point where it's like, you're paying money and you're not getting the value. I mean, let's just check the accuracy of these skin tones right now, okay? Here we are at the stadium scene in Alita Battle Angel, and again, you can see filmmaker mode. What does it look like? Not great. And then that's what I'm giving you. That's a big difference in terms of skin tonality. So if you want to see what this is all about, seriously, join for the $4.99, of which YouTube takes 30% of. I mean, I don't get crazy cash out of this. And this is the part where I'm just like scratching my head almost, because it's like, in the same breath that like every calibrator says that like you should know about these things and you should familiarize yourself with the jargon and terminology, and of course just set your TV to HDR, everything's better in HDR. I can promise you every HDR image I have ever shown looks better than this. Like every HDR image I've ever created. This is actually really bad. There's a lot of crushing, especially in her face. I mean, it just doesn't scream, you know, quality or wonderful or something I want to pay for, versus something like this where the result, I mean, like, I'm not even going to do the back and forth anymore, because it's clear. It is abundantly clear to a point that is uncomfortable. And this is the ugly truth about the television industry and business. They come out with these gimmicky catchphrases and jargons, and I'll do this in real time, right? I'll switch this in real time just so you see, like, I don't have any reason to play games, right? We're just gonna hit play, even though I'm probably not supposed to do that, right? And then we're just gonna skip, okay? I'm gonna try to grab a frame. All right, first frame, let's try to get it clear, as clear as we can, okay? This is the frame we grabbed. Right? Chapter 29. I mean, these tests you can replicate on your own at this point. So let's just go ahead and say, okay, here we are. We're in standard mode right now. Okay, we're going to go to filmmaker mode, because Quantum doesn't know what he's doing. He's a quack, you know, all the crazy stuff we hear from all the crap talkers, right? Okay. Good luck. Good luck getting your HDR to look like my HDR. Good luck. Because you're starting off here at this point and you have to know how to fix all of that and make it look like this. That's not easy to do. We're talking about all of the hues and lightings going back to where it's supposed to be from the ambient lighting environment, casting the shadow of the green, but mixing in with the tungsten light from the environment. Like, there's so much that you have to know to put back into the image. Like, it actually took a long time, and I know I had a lot of members kind of tapping their feet like, okay, Quantum, where's the HDR settings? When are they coming? And I always kind of have to say this. I mean, like, you either want them fast or you want them right. You know what I mean? I can get them to you fast, and they'll probably look like this, right? Look at this poster now. This is real time. Or we can do something like this. I mean, you see all the color. I mean, it's so sick how, just, come on. You've got to run me the credit where credit's due. Love me or hate me. That's a damn transformation. I think everybody here just saw that in real time. Come on. It's pretty damn dramatic. And I choose Alita Battle Angel because this one film is supported for every range of HDR, right? You've got your Dolby Vision, your HDR10+, so even when it's on an HDR, and by the way, every Samsung TV is HDR 10 plus. So I'm telling you right now, it just, there's such a level of like, you are not getting everything you're supposed to out of these TVs when they come from the factory. Like now that means, what does this mean, right? Listen to the takeaway of this. You have to go out and pay another $500 on top of the price of the TV almost every time, or you're gonna be stuck with this, or you're gonna be stuck trying to figure it out on your own. My mantra is, why suffer figuring out what I already know when for literally $4.99, what is that, like a double cheeseburger or some shit, like a cup of coffee, and then you can just get your TV to where it needs to be. That is not even a fraction of the price of what you're going to get charged from anybody else. On the lowest end, you might find a guy that's just starting out that'll charge you like $250. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of pointless. I think they're greedy for no reason. You know, it's like it's computer software and it's a bunch of filibustering and trying to stand on, you know, certifications and credentials when really it's common sense. Use your senses, be a human being. It does not take a rocket scientist to figure out that this looks like dog shit, okay? Versus something like this where it's very much, last example, okay? Right? Let's just pause the frame right here. I'll try to skip a couple of frames so we can get her face in focus, right? Can we do that? I don't want it to like play too much. I'm just gonna have to fast forward that frame then. Let's just try to get, I don't want a building frame. That's kind of lame. All right, let's see what we can do. All right, stand up, Alita. There you go. All right, now she's standing. We can see her face. Okay. Real time, chapter 33, replicated on your own, okay? This is what Alita looks like with my settings. This is what she looks like with Filmmaker mode. Need I say more? Look at the wall behind her and what just happened in real time. I mean, like, all of that lighting, like, all of the lighting just goes away. All of the color goes away. Eco is just as bad, by the way. I mean, it just all looks so terrible. Like, I just don't understand. And I know I'm going on a while, but like, this is actually perplexing to me that like, this is what's called ready, right? This is their version of like, we did it, y'all. Like this is their Hail Mary. Like, it's so like, come on, man. Like this is it. This is your it. So yeah. Hopefully this video opens some eyes. If you want to join, I'll have the link down below. If you have questions about HDR versus SDR, I still prefer SDR over HDR. This is a challenge, and it was a challenge to create these settings, but this is pretty much where I'm at with the HDR. I don't expect it to improve much at all past this point. I think we've pretty much hit its limitation. But this is for movies so far. I will try to look into gaming specifically and see if I can get back to you guys with something specifically dedicated to gaming where we can target more aggressive saturation, because we're not looking for cinematically accurate skin tones, whatever the case may be. But that's neither here nor there. The point is, you've been lied to about what these things can look like. Now, I went ahead and pumped up the brightness in movie mode. So movie mode is going to be a little bit different from the Filmmaker mode, where you might see just a little bit of brightness. Can you see a little bit more brightness? Not really, no. I did try to pump it up just a little bit more, but they are about the same. It's a little bit of a difference, but not much. So yeah, it just dude, like all day. Like this is just, I'm done. I can't even with it right now. But that being said, I want to thank you guys so much for watching the #1 brand in honesty. If you've learned something in this video and you see something that maybe you don't see on other channels, smack a like, subscribe, because that's what I do here. Until the next video, I'll see you guys later.